Good evening. Thank you so much for coming this evening. You just saw just a brief overview of what we do 5 days a week. Monday through Thursday we work with about 50 students. On Fridays we work with about 25 students. I want to give you a little bit of background first. Literacy. There's a young lady back there who did a lot of research for one of my communication classes last summer, so I'm going to steal some of the stats that she gave me. They're all from literacy.com. The cost of illiteracy is $300 billion a year. Healthcare, crime, welfare, and more. Lost production, lost wages. 85% of the kids that are in our juvenile court system are illiterate. They can't read at even the lowest grade level. 70% of everybody in prison cannot read beyond the 4th grade level. Half of our adults who are in poverty are illiterate. The problem is they have kids. Poverty, illiteracy is part of that environment. Those kids are going to grow up not being able to read as well. 9 out of 10 of the students or the adults on welfare dropped out of high school. That's 90%, 9 out of 10. 3rd grade, you probably heard this on the radio because there were several months over and over and over again. If a student is not reading at his or her grade level by the end of 3rd grade, he or she is 4 times as likely to drop out of school. This one you may not have heard. Students who are not reading at their grade level by the end of 4th grade are most likely, in fact, 2/3 of them will either end up in jail or on welfare. Those are the national statistics. Is Darke County any different? Maybe a little, not much. We have the same problems here. This one is going to shock you. 1 out of 5 high school graduates can't read. Now, we have to define what reading is. Reading is not just recognizing words. Reading is understanding those words. Reading is understanding the meaning of those words. Reading is comprehending what you're reading, the ideas that are being presented through those words. I worked with a student last summer, beautiful example. He was great at math. I'd tell him, what's 10 minus 6? 4, right? That makes sense? Then I would write out a brief story problem for him. You go to Walmart, you spend $6 on supplies, you give the cashier $10. How much change should you get? He had no clue. None whatsoever. I even spelled it out for him. The poor kid was so frustrated I thought he was going to cry. Same math. He couldn't read. He could not comprehend the concept of being able to figure out how much change he was going to get from making a $10 donation. I came to Greenville in 2002. I was the editor of Your Advocate for 7 years. I even did a 3-year stint as associate editor with the Early Bird. All this time I was teaching college at Edison State. I've been teaching college for 30 years. First in California, now out here. At one point, I decided, okay, journalism, that's been my vocation for 50 years. I think it's time to move to my avocation, something that I've loved just as much, but didn't spend quite as much time on, and that's teaching. I continued to teach full-time. I started teaching full-time at Edison, and I began substitute teaching in Darke County schools. I have subbed in 3 of the Darke County districts, but most of my time has been spent in Greenville. I think I fell in love with teaching the first time I worked with a 4th grader. She was struggling with the concept of 1,600,000. 600,000, according to her, had to be bigger because it started with a 6. 1 million, of course, is bigger than 600,000. When I explained to her to count out the zeros, the numbers didn't make any difference if the zeros were different. When she finally caught on, that glow in her eyes is something I'll never forget. It was a wonderful feeling. She got it. So I've been working with students, kindergarten through high school as a sub. I had a lot of issues that I had to deal with as far as the different grade levels are concerned. I talk to my students about diversity all the time. I can think of a better example of diversity than working with kindergarten through 8th grade students, much less senior high students. A kindergarten teacher once told me, this is how it all starts. The kindergarten teacher said, if a child is struggling in kindergarten, doesn't get the help that he or she needs, she is going to take that problem, that issue that she's going to have trouble with throughout the rest of her academic career. That child is going to be the potential dropout. That child is going to be the potential candidate for welfare. I was teaching a 4th grade class. And this also, I will never forget. This also, I get emotional about it. There were 2 kids sitting in the front of the class that I was subbing in. We were doing a combination of math and spelling. Throughout the entire exercise, these kids, all of the kids in the class, there were about 25 of them, some would get some right, some would get some wrong. Pretty much about what you would expect in a class of 25 students, except for 2 girls up in the front seats. The last thing that I gave them to do, they held up their little whiteboards and said, I'm just stupid. No child should ever feel that. I started tutoring that summer. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to work with the 2 kids, but I knew something had to be done. I was going to do my little part, I guess. So that summer, I worked with kindergarten pretty much through 8th grade. In 2015, I repeated it again over the summer. I had requests to continue well into the fall after school started, so I was tutoring in the fall in the evening as well. I worked with a 2nd grader. That 2nd grader had been flunking his math and his reading. He was way behind. I worked with him. He got on track. He's been on track ever since. But the other part of that story is his sister started in the 1st grade that year. She came home from school crying, saying, 1st grade's too hard. I wish I was smart like my brother, not understanding that I had helped her brother. So Mom asked me to work with her. I did. Both of those kids are doing great now. One was in 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, I think. The other one is just 2 years behind him. And they're both doing great. They all come up, or at least the girl comes up for hugs every once in a while when she sees me in the after-school program. Consequently, after this started, the mother said, I want other kids to have the same help that my kids got. She was basically the one who started the Empowering Darke County Youth Program. In March of 2016, we formed together as a unit, primarily for the purpose to do summer tutoring. Then one of our board members said, you know, we really need help during the school year too. In 2016, we had our first after-school program session. 39 students signed up for it. I was going nuts. I had no clue how we were going to handle 39 students. We did. We made it. That was done at the Edison State Community College campus. There was no space in the schools at that time. The new school had not been built. The following year, we had the new facility. We were requested to move to Greenville. We did. Second, in 2017, we had 87 requests for help. So we could handle it and start a waiting list. We worked with 59 students. We finally got most of the remaining students into the program, but some of them did not get here until the end of the year. What kind of help was that? I swore that in 2018, we were not going to have a waiting list. My two program coordinators over here probably pretty much had a heart attack over that. We had 136 requests for help. We got them all signed up. We're currently working with about 120 students today. We're averaging 50 a day. And it's fun, isn't it? I'd like to introduce my co-program coordinator, Kate Slow. She's going to tell you how we manage this. There's no way I could do it, but she has managed it. Kate Slow.
I was looking at these clean pictures up here that Chelsea took, and I thought, gee, I want to go there and tutor. I don't want those tables with cracker crumbs and wadded up stuff all over them. This really looked nice, but I've only been doing this for about a year. And when I came in last year to answer to an ad that they needed some help tutoring, I thought I would go and see what I could do and if I could tutor some. And because I'm the way I am, I decided that maybe it needed to be a little more organized. And Bob was very gracious because he says that's not his strong suit, so he puts up with my organizational skills. And what we really try to work on is, like he said, you can read the words, but if you don't know what the words are trying to tell you, then you're not reading. So we really work on reading comprehension. I brought a couple of things here that we do work on, and a lot of this work is stuff that is used in a school. These are called A to Z readers, and you can make these books. They're graded from kindergarten all the way up through 8th grade, I believe. And with this, you get a comprehension sheet. So when the kids are done, you can ask them questions, and then you will know how much they have retained. I would love to be able to have enough copies of these or any book for a roundtable discussion so that they could go and one kid read one page and another and go on like that. But I don't have multiple copies of all those things. But these are just some of the ways that we are trying to get to know how much they're actually learning. We also have, I made some sight word cards. Some teachers call them popcorn words, whatever. These happen to be for the kindergartners. And going through words just one at a time sometimes gets boring. So we tried to make like a memory game out of them where we have them turned over with question marks on them and they try to match. Now you can't do the whole deck, but you know, it's a little bit more fun so that they can see that word and say that word and try to remember where that word is on those lines. We have that. We have worksheets. Oops. Yeah, here's enough. These are examples. These are books that I have multiple copies of through the gracious teacher in school. But these are multiple copies of books, and they are lower grade levels. But you can have these, pass these out, and have 4 kids read these out loud. Sometimes it's hard for kids because they don't like to read out loud, and it's harder on the ones that can't read quite as well as others. We have worksheets. A lot of the kids like to do worksheets, and they love to be able to use their dry erase markers. So we have math problems in dry erase sheets. We also have writing. This is a little bit harder because it might be a little bit small for the kindergartners, and they're the ones that probably really need this the most, kindergarten and first grade. We have sight words for older kids. I've gotten a few books from the school that we can try to match grade level with what they're reading. You can't always go by the grade that they're in. You have to go by what grade level they are reading at. Let's see. A few of the things that have been fun is a game like this where we have cards and they are turned over so that they can't see what's on it. And you can play these all the way really up to 4th grade because some of the math problems are not just addition and subtraction, simple 1 or 2 numbers. They actually make you start getting into a little bit of algebra. But we move the space along after they roll the dice. If they get the problem right, they get to stay there. If they don't get the problem right, they have to go back to start. So they take that pretty well. We also have money bags. And this is a game that we just got. Chelsea found it online, and we just got this game. And it has worked out really well. The 2nd graders seem to really love this game. There again, we roll the dice, and they start here. And this will tell you to make 55 cents. Well, then you spin this dice, and you can make 55 cents. Well, this one says any coins, but you could say not using quarters, or not using dimes, or not using nickels. And so they have to learn how to make that change with a smaller dimension of coin. And they really caught on to this game quite quickly, even though we've only had it maybe not even hardly 2 weeks. We have manipulatives for them to use, math manipulatives. These are in blocks of 10, and they go together much like Legos. And for those 1st and 2nd graders that are really struggling with math, you can see, well, I've got a block of 10, and if I take away 2, how many am I going to have left? You know, something like that, so they can really put their fingers in the holes and count the blocks that are left. This one is one that I just got recently, and I thought this was kind of cool. And it's flashcards, and by covering up, so what's 12 plus 11 is 23. Well, what's 23 minus 11? It's 12. So these triangular cards are really good as long as you keep your hands on them and not give them to the kids, because they will be a mess in a week. I can't think of it. Oh, this is another math game, and I don't have the, this one they really like too. This is good for kids with multiplication. We have colored large paper clips, and we roll the dice, and if somebody gets a 3, they have to put their paper clip here. Somebody rolls the dice, they get a 7, whatever, 6, they put their dice there. So then we have to use one die this time and roll the dice, and I take, and I'm on 3, and my dice comes up to be 6, then 3 times 6 is 18. Well, I can find 18 here several spots. What I'm trying to do is get 4 in a row, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. You know, just kind of like bingo. But they're fighting against one another, so they are trying to stop you from getting yours while I'm trying to get my 4 in a row. So that's really worked out pretty well. We have a lot of different personalities. We have some really great tutors that have come into this position and didn't know anything about tutoring. And I can dare say that they know a lot more about kids and tutoring than when they first came there. So we always appreciate the Edison kids, and we've got some high school kids that have started too. So that's really, we're very thankful for them. We couldn't handle the amount. I'd love to have it be one-on-one. It would really be so nice to have one tutor and one student. A lot of kids, you know, they just need that. Have you got your homework done? Well, it's in I might have some left. No, I think I worked on that. Well, could you get it out of your backpack? Well, the backpack is about this thick with back papers that they've never bothered to clean out, you know, so you start going through this and, that might be what I need to be working on. So, you know, they just need that prodding along. And I had one grandmother say to me, I am so thankful for this group, because she said he was coming home with math problems that I couldn't help him with. And he was in the 3rd grade. And so she is always singing our praises because we're helping out with his homework. But anyway, if you have any questions, I don't know what else. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Good job, Kate. And so I'm Chelsea Jones. I am, I guess, your assistant co-leader, friend, co-person. And I started out in this program. I went to a board meeting last year, probably before Christmas, and I was like, wow, that seems like it could be a really great program. I'd love to help out. Show up for my first day, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of kids. Not a whole lot of, you know, tutors. So I think, you know, we'll give it a shot and just kind of get sucked into it. The joy that the kids bring you, it does outweigh the chaos. And so, you know, I started working there and worked in the summer program that was a little bit more like a one-on-one. Sometimes we almost had like a 2-to-1, 2 tutors to like 1 student. You could really tag team that and really help them out. And the growth that came from that was amazing. And so I really wanted to strive to bring in more tutors, whether it's Edison students, high school students, substitute teachers, retirees, folks like me that are stay-at-home mom and that have somebody that can watch their kiddos a few days a week after school. I know it's difficult with the hours that we have. You know, we start our 5 through 8 group at 2:30, and they're done around 3:45 to 4 o'clock. And then our next wave of K through 4 comes in around that time, about 3:45, and the rest of them spill in at about 3 o'clock. It's very, very important to have some of the similar faces that come in because kids light up when they see you. Oh, Miss Kay, can I work with you today? I really want to do that reading game, or I really want to do that math game, or they'll run over to Bob and say, can I help you with snacks, or can we do this, or can we do that? You know, it's really fantastic. And so driving those numbers up was my goal. So how do you get tutors to come and give up their precious time and work with a lot of our kiddos? So a lot of our kiddos do need help, but they also don't want to tell you that they need help. Do you have math homework? Yeah, I got it. I can do it at home. It's no problem. Okay, well, what are you working on at school? You know, what are you working on in class with your math? It's nothing. It's fine. So you really got to push through to try to get to the core of what they need to work on. And once you break through, once you can start to get the ball rolling with them, it's fantastic. They do want to work with you. With that, I also took over, with the help of one of our board members, the Facebook page. So if you haven't found us on Facebook, please find us on Facebook, Empowering Darke County Youth on Facebook. And I've been trying to kind of bring what we do to the people. So short clips of videos of, you know, what does the day look like? You know, kiddos come in, we sign them in, they get their folder, they go find their grade tables that they can sit in, they get a snack, they either eat it or they have really a good time with it and make a mess and decorate with it. And then we give them probably about 5-10 minutes to kind of chit chat because they've been in school all day. You know, a lot of these kiddos, it's a lot of work to stay focused for that time. So we try to give them a little bit of a break. And then it's down to business. So with Kay, we've got a lot of different games. Hands-on stuff is wonderful. And so that kind of takes the pressure off of you as a tutor, too. You can say, okay, well, I've got this game. Why don't we play this game? And you're able to kind of entertain your entire table because there are days where you are the entire second grade tutor. And that may be 3 kids, or it may be 8 kids. And so you've got to be able to be on the ball and be able to do that. But don't be afraid to ask for help. We will come and help you right along. You can, to become a tutor, or to become a volunteer, or to kind of help out with snacks. We do give a lot of snacks. You can find us on Facebook, message us, comment on any of our pictures or videos. And we also have these blue papers, and that's another way to get hold of us to let us know kind of what you're interested in. We've had a few people turn them in and then something happens. They've hurt their knee or something. I can't do it right now, but please keep me in mind for later. You can email us at empoweringyouth101@gmail.com, and we will definitely get back to you and figure out what time frame works for you. You don't have to come every day of the week. You don't have to come at 2:30 and stay till 5. You can come when it works for you. You can come for the 5 through 8, 2:30 to 3. Yes, 3:40. Or you can come for the K through 5 or 4, which is about 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So.
Thank you, Chelsea. Kids that we work with, 90% of them are marginal or definitely at risk, either reading or comprehension, math, or both. Many of them, most of them actually, are at risk in both. We send out our handout to parents, a little sheet that says, how are we doing? It was December. 90% of our parents say this program has helped, and they're very grateful for it. Despite the challenges, not enough people, some kids don't want to work. We have to cajole them into doing it. Some kids feel so defeated that they've almost given up. We put the respect back into their lives, the hope back into their lives, and you'd be surprised how quickly they start picking things up once they realize, no, they're not stupid. Just some examples, just a few. 2 years ago, we worked with some 5th graders who were struggling in math. Had all kinds of problems in math. In December, I was lucky enough to be a substitute teacher in the 7th grade advanced math class. 4 of our kids were in that class. One of them actually said, I'm here because you guys helped me. We had a 6th grader 2 years ago sitting in the back of the room when I was subbing. I handed out the assignments. Keep in mind, he was in the 6th grade. After I handed out the assignments, I went back and talked to him. He looked at me and he said, I can't read. 6th grade. Actually, he could read about the 2nd grade level. I got him into the program. Within 3 months, he was reading chapter books. Finally, he graduated himself. He was reading almost at grade level by the time that I guess it's been there about 3-4 months. Today, he doesn't sit in the back of the room anymore. He participates in class discussions. He gets good grades. He is even a part of the school's theater arts program. He gets up on stage. He got his confidence because he was able to read. 7th grader, been in the program for 2 years. She hated coming. She made no bones about it. I don't want to be here. Well, we convinced her that as long as she was stuck there, she might want to put in some effort. Well, she did. She made merit roll for the first time last fall and didn't even know what it was. And we told her that means that you were a great student. You should have seen the smile on her face. I happened to be subbing in another class when she took her reading guarantee. All grades have to take this reading guarantee thing, a reading test, state test. Her improvement, according to the teacher that I was working with, called her up to the front of the room and said, you have done a phenomenal job of improving. Because she decided to work. We had a 2nd grader who wasn't going to read. No, didn't want to. Going to play football. He was going to be a football star. He didn't have to read. Once we convinced him that he wouldn't even be able to play football in high school unless he got good grades, he grudgingly decided to start reading. It improved considerably by the end of 2nd grade, still had a long way to go. Mom was in a panic. I don't know if you've heard about the 3rd grade reading guarantee. If they don't pass that guarantee in the 3rd grade, they get held back. Guess what? Successes. I just got heard from a 3rd grader today, or actually, I'm sorry, it was today's Thursday. It was Monday. Mr. Robinson, you know, all that work that we did with the reading and that stuff, you know, answering questions, things. I said, yeah, I passed my reading test. Gave her a high five. Great big grin on her face. She was very proud. Now, you know something? I'm proud too. Because we helped her get there. This is a community program. Got to tell you something that really scares the heck out of me. I'm an old man, as you can see. I'm 74. I was part of the 50s and 60s growing up. And I was shocked to find out that the United States is the only industrialized country in the entire world where the current generation is less educated than the previous one. Think about that. Less educated than the previous one. We got to turn that around, folks. If you stop and think about it, I remember Someone once said, it takes a community. I didn't believe it. I was always self-sufficient. I always did things my own way. Got into trouble for it a lot, but that's beside the point. I did not really take that into any kind of thought whatsoever until he started this. Now I know it takes a community. We've had some tremendous community support. Greenville has given us fantastic support. We're hoping to expand to another district in the fall. We've been getting fantastic support from our businesses. We've been getting fantastic support from our individual citizens. Our Edison students have been doing a phenomenal job. This is the community in action. These kids, many of them for the first time, can think in terms of, I have a chance. Think about that. We've got packets back there if you want more information. We've got those little blue sheets that Chelsea mentioned. Right up at the top it says make a donation. You don't have to make a donation, you just need to sign up and then we'll get information to you. But if you'd like to make a donation, I'm not going to say no. Please understand, these kids are our future. They're 1/3 of our population today. They're all of our future. Thank you for coming. Any questions?
Bob, will you be leaving any of the volunteer
Whatever
information in the
you want me to
library?
do.
We'll have that there in the
I'll be
library.
more than happy to talk to anybody afterwards if you have questions. Please feel free. And I would like to thank both Chelsea and Kay, fantastic people. I'll tell you what, knowing that they're in charge of the actual tutoring program, because I'm too old-fashioned, I admit it. Knowing they're in charge, it freed me up to start going out into the community and say, help us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Empowering Darke County Youth would like to thank the Greenville Public Library for hosting and recording our message, and Greenville Senior High School IMTV for editing it. We would also like to thank the individuals, organizations, and businesses who support us, the Darke County United Way, Edison State Community College Darke County campus, and its student tutors, and especially Greenville City Schools and its great teachers and staff. Without them, we could not do what we do.